It's been such a drama here to see this implosion within the company. But we left off by saying they still have $2 trillion in assets. So are they going to go strong and still going stronger in 2015, Mary?
That's such a good question. I think all eyes are on Pimco for that. You have such investment and people who really want them to succeed because they have a lot of money with them. But then you have, it really comes down to performance, as it always does, but even more so now. So they really need to be able to show people that they're hitting it out of the park, that they have everything in place, and that they can function without Bill, if not better. And so I think what people are looking at now, December looks like it wasn't the greatest month for total return. November wasn't the greatest. They're really
December started off well.
Started off well. They came out, they were in the 99th percentile, and they were doing really well, but managing, I think, to a lot of liquidity demands, and that puts a big strain on their management ability. And they're saying that the liquidity profile is really good and everything's fine, but people are still saying you're having record redemptions. Things are slowing. It's improving. But, how much can you really weather before it starts to hurt performance?
So who are they really relying on now to manage the portfolio? I mean, who are really the big investment brains that they're really focused
So they'll tell you
on?
It's a big team approach now. I think everybody's moved away from this one guy model. But you have Scott Mather, Mark Kiesel, and Mihir Vora running Total Return, and then Dan Ivison as the kind of top dog as Group CIO.
Who has done so well in his career, right?
Very well.
He's been in the 99 percentile.
Exactly. And so I think people respect him a lot, and really, he has a lot of clout, especially within Pimco. People think of him as their guy, and they're excited that he's leading the charge now. So that creates kind of a good atmosphere. But at the same time, it's still a hyper-competitive place. You have a lot of kind of very well-paid young Turks, as they say, jostling for power in this new paradigm. So I think there's been a lot of grandstanding and internal volatility from that.
Bill, after an experience like this, so let's draw a parallel to Wall Street. Couldn't really call Pimco Wall Street. It's out of Newport Beach. But let's say it's like a bank. If a bank went through an experience like Pimco, how long would that hangover last? How long can we expect it to last at Pimco?
Look, I mean, what Mary is saying probably is great for Pimco. In other words, there's a lot of energy, there's a lot of aggressive young up-and-comers who really want to take charge. This is their moment because, when you had Mohammed and Bill at the top, that's a lot of focus, a lot of star power at the top. Now both those guys are gone, and it's all going to come down to, in my opinion, how the fund performs, how these funds perform, because money just obviously is going to follow the performance. That's not news. But how Pimco deals with the post-Fed unwinding period is going to be huge. I mean, that's huge for debt investors all across the market. But Pimco is the leader and needs to show that it understands how the Fed is how to manage the Fed in this period and how to manage the market.
I've been curious all year. Mary's done amazing reporting on this, and I keep wondering as we come back to this theme, are we obsessed with Pimco because of its size in the market, or because of the Shakespearean quality of the story? You have Bill and Mohammed, Hamlet and Horatio.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, just like I think people are obsessed with BlackRock, but in a different way because, Larry Fink does not attract the kind of melodramatic attention that we pay to this story of Pimco. But if with Mohammed and Bill gone now, and these other guys at the top, and it calms down, I suspect they'll become boring, and we won't cover them.
Okay, but then what
am I going to do?
You will, of course.
Then we'll watch, but we're going to watch Bill Gross and how he does at Janus, right? He's gotten a few $1 billion already. Didn't George Soros also put some money in with him?
Exactly, a separately managed account.
So Bill, would you put money in with Bill Gross now?
Well, what always concerns me is he does seem to be acting a bit irrationally, right? I mean, his behavior is not what I would want necessarily. As proven as his track record is, his behavior lately has not been admirable. So I don't know.
I think he just said no.
Well, I would counter it by saying, how different is that from historic Bill Gross
behavior?
Exactly. So, it was fine.
He was just outed.
Good when we were in a 30-year bull market and, returns were great, performance was great. But then all of a sudden you start to have things, cracks in the armor, and everyone's like, oh, no, he's acting crazy. But he kind of always, that was part of his shtick. It's like if suddenly we were like, oh, Warren Buffett seems kind of folksy, that annoys me. Like, why would we turn on him?
Well, but so I think
it gets back to, it's all about the performance.
It's about the performance. But, it kind of goes to that question is, are his best investing days behind him? I mean, the guy is what? How old is he now?
70.
And he's in his 70s.
But, Warren Buffett's,
yeah, but some people say that about Warren Buffett,
Is it his best investing days, him as an investor, or is it the bull market that enabled his style of investing?
Exactly. Exactly.
And beyond that, you had him at Pimco with this huge fleet behind him, supporting him, submitting ideas, and he would say, hey, this is a good idea. I don't like commodities, but this seems interesting, and he was able to kind of extract ideas from that. It's just him now. It's him in Newport Beach by himself. There's nobody else in that building. He has like a trader, some back office people, but he's really on his own. So it's really going to be a test, and it's an unconstrained strategy, so it's even more flexible and more reflective of whatever good ideas he can come up with.
You know what? So far, early days yet, it ain't working, right? There's 1 month of performance for the Janus Unconstrained Bond Fund.
It's 1 month.
And it's down 1.3%, 12th percentile.
Oh, Eric, it's working because I read his first investor letter, and it was as amazing as it always is.
Well, I will point out that against other unconstrained funds, I think through like the 18th of December, he was outperforming 65% of peers. So it's kind of a tough comp right now.
But he would,
Russia,
by the
oil,
way,
et cetera.
Yeah.
from reading your story, that would be considered a failure in Gross's eyes,
That's
right?
so true. Yes, he's hyper competitive. He wants 99th percentile. He wants to be #1.
Right, exactly. I guess, we'll have to see, right? We'll see where he goes. I know Soros had said that this is actually a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to be able to go back to an investor who is now not managing this huge portfolio, but something quite smaller to see what he can deliver.